Hi, this is Carrie from Artscope, and we're here today for another session of Try This at Home. Today we're going to learn how to make stencils and stamps from things you have around your house. So the first thing I want you to look for are things that you might find in packaging. So things with negative space, like these pieces of material. These are actually foam, which will come in handy later. And pieces of cardboard that might hold things that come in packages. And you're also, again, looking for interesting shapes that you can use as stencils. You can make your own stencils from cardstock from old mail or even calendars. I made some hole punches here so I can have some regular holes to make a circle design. The next thing you want to look for around your house are things like pieces of wood. These are great because they have multiple sides. I'll show you what I mean. And if you don't have wood, you can always use pieces of cardboard. We will need some twine. I have two kinds, regular string and then some with wax on it. And it also has an interesting shape. Because the next thing you're going to look for are things with shapes that you can use repetitively. A coin, this interesting piece, not quite sure what it is, great for tracing. And then textures, sponges, any kind of sponge. Packaging from old garlic and sandpaper. So here I have made a stamp with 3 pieces of sandpaper and also with bread ties to get this nice line quality. So the first thing I'm going to show you how to make is a stamp with string. So basically it is string just tied around a piece of cardboard like so. So it's wrapping and then tying on the back, and then you are ready to stamp. I like to use wood blocks for the string stamps because they have multiple sides. So I've got a blue side going and a yellow side and a red side, although I'm not too particular about changing colors. What I like about the foam is it really holds lots of color. So if you take a piece of foam, and you will need some scissors, you can just cut out different shapes. The nice thing about this is you could have negative and positive shapes. So I have this interesting shape and then this interesting shape. So what I'm going to do next is take my piece of wood and any kind of glue, Elmer's or tacky glue or Mod Podge or Gorilla Glue, and you're going to place your stamp on there. So there will be some drying time. So that's why you're going to make your stamps first and then practice painting with your stencils. So next we are going to talk about painting with stencils. While our stamps are drying, we are going to start laying some groundwork of colors. I'm going to use this interesting shape too. I like it because you can change its directions. You can repeat it on one piece of paper. Let me show you one that I have going right now. It is this piece. So I have painted one color at a time. I started with the dark blue and went over it with the turquoise. Then I decided to use some yellow to put on top. And then finally I changed the direction and did some red. So I am going to show you next how you can use your stamps on top of these layers. Alright, so I am using watercolor today, and you can use any kind of paper that you have. I have some cardstock paper, some scrap bookmaking paper, but I'm going to try it on regular copy paper first. I'm using this kind of a medium opaque, meaning that it is slightly transparent. You can see through it. And then I'm using this watercolor that is slightly more opaque, so it makes for darker colors. So you can use any kind of paint you have at home. It could be tempera paint, poster paint, acrylic paint, anything that's water-based. So first of all, I'm going to paint these areas like I showed you my first one. And here you might change brushes because I'm trying to cover more area. You can see how I would just use my stencil to create my shape, and I will continue to do that on this piece of paper. The nice thing about doing your painting first is you can come up with a variety of paintings and then go back and work on all of them with stamps later. So I have already painted this one, so now I'm going to come back with stamps. I am going to use my foam stamps first. So this is a lot about trying and making mistakes and seeing what comes out of it. You don't always get what you expect with printing, but sometimes it is one of those things we call a beautiful oops or a happy accident. So I'm using a very transparent paint here, and I'm going to place it on top of this shape. See? Okay, so I'm not that happy with that color, so I'm going to go back and use this more opaque paint. I'm seeing these as ways to play and not necessarily to create a finished work of art, to see what I can do, and then I can come back later and fine-tune things. So I do like that a lot better. Now I'm going to try the string. This is one that has, it's kind of like a 2 triangles, obviously, and I'm going to paint a purplish blue using the opaque paint. So you can make regular patterns or you can be irregular, however you like to do it. You can also try ghost printing, meaning printing it one time when there is less paint on it. So I got better lines that way. I think I will keep doing this a little more because I like the result and I can see how this would look kind of interesting if it's going back and forth. You can flip them back each way and do the negative, oops, don't do that. And yep, I'm happy with the way that's looking. So I'm going to put this one aside because I have some others that I have started. This one that's on copy paper is this foam stamp. I'm going to try it first with a very transparent blue. Kind of purpley. Ombre. And I'm going to keep repeating. Maybe some negative or ghost prints. I keep calling that negative. It's fading out. You'll see that I have this little shape here. It is a old spool with a little bit of felt on it. This had a different purpose at one time, but I am repurposing it to make my stamps. I'm gonna do an orangey color right now. It's kind of a dirty orange. See, I'm not being very careful about cleaning all my tools, but that's okay because I feel like I really just want to be playful. Ooh, very muddy, but that's okay. But I'm liking my pattern. So now I'm going to try my wood, and I have not used any black. Sometimes you want to save black for last because it's very strong. And on your strings, the knots make very interesting dot patterns. So I'm going to go on top of places that are a little more dry. So it tells me it needs a little more ink or paint or a little more pressure. It's trial and error. Getting there. So what you do with this kind of printing is build up. Okay, so I'm going to move on. I've shown you 2 that I'm working on. This is one where I traced this object that I was not sure what it was, and then painted them separate colors and went back over it with the string stamp. And on this one, I used this stencil and lots of the string, the end of this spool, and the end of this block. And let me show you one more that I'm working on. This is what the sandpaper looks like. It is very kind of muddy, but I really like the marks that it made. So then I took this and put yellow over it And I did some circles from, I don't know what that, oh, that was from this. And next I would go ahead and start printing things. I think I'm going to try this one on top of that. And I'll do the opaque rosy color. And I want to put it right here. Okay, I'm really happy with that because I really like how bright it came out. So I'm going to keep repeating that, maybe over all the colored places I've started. And that will be the pattern that I'm making. So far I've made very irregular patterns, except for this one. I would say this is more regular. So now it is your turn to come up with stamps, stencils, and patterns, and please be sure to share them with us on Instagram so we can see what you've created from things you find at your home. Thank you, have fun!